Right now, as you're watching this, your brain is fighting a war for your attention. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You're losing. The average human attention span has dropped to 8 seconds. 8 seconds. That's less than a goldfish. But before you blame yourself, before you think there's something fundamentally broken about you, I need you to understand something. This isn't an accident. Your fractured attention, your inability to focus, your constant mental restlessness, it's all by design. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to fight back. Let's start with something that probably happened to you this morning. You sat down to do something important, something that actually matters. Maybe it was work, maybe studying, maybe finally having that conversation you've been avoiding. And within minutes, maybe seconds, you found yourself reaching for your phone, or opening a new tab, or suddenly remembering something urgent that really wasn't urgent at all. You weren't weak. You weren't lazy. Your brain was doing exactly what it's been trained to do. Seek escape from sustained effort. Because here's what nobody tells you about attention in the modern world. Maintaining focus has become an act of rebellion. Think about the last time you read an entire book without checking your phone. The last time you had a conversation where neither person looked at a screen. The last time you sat with a difficult problem long enough to actually solve it instead of Googling the answer. If you're struggling to remember, you're not alone. We've entered an era where sustained attention, the ability to focus on one thing for an extended period, has become almost extinct. And the consequences are catastrophic. We're not just talking about productivity here. We're talking about your ability to learn, to connect deeply with other people, to engage with complex ideas, to build anything meaningful. All of that requires sustained attention. And all of that is slipping away. The science behind this is both fascinating and terrifying. Your brain operates on a reward system driven by a chemical called dopamine. Every time you get a notification, every time you switch tasks, every time you experience something novel, your brain gets a tiny hit of dopamine. It feels good. It feels like progress. But it's a trap. Because what's actually happening is your brain is being rewired to crave distraction. You're training yourself, minute by minute, day by day, to be unable to sustain focus. The apps know this. The platforms know this. They've hired neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists to make their products as addictive as possible. Your attention is the product they're selling to advertisers, and they've gotten terrifyingly good at stealing it. But here's where it gets hopeful. Your brain is plastic. That's the technical term, neuroplasticity, which means it can be rewired. The same way you trained yourself into distraction, you can train yourself back into focus. It won't be easy. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first, like exercising a muscle you haven't used in years. But it's possible. And I'm going to give you 6 specific, actionable strategies that actually work. Not theory, not abstract advice. Real techniques backed by neuroscience that you can start using today. Strategy 1. Strategic reward systems. Your brain is motivated by pleasure, so let's use that instead of fighting it. Here's how this works. You identify the tasks that drain your attention, the boring, mundane things that make your mind wander. For me, it's administrative work, answering emails, organizing files, the kind of stuff that feels like mental torture. Instead of forcing yourself through these with willpower alone, you create a reward structure. After 30 minutes of focused work on the boring task, you get to do something genuinely enjoyable for 10 minutes. Not mindless scrolling, but something that actually brings you joy. Call someone you love. Step outside. Read something purely for pleasure. The key is the reward must be immediate and proportional. Your brain learns. Sustained attention on difficult tasks leads to genuine pleasure. Over time, this rewires your motivation system. You're not just gritting your teeth through the hard stuff. You're teaching your brain that focus itself can be rewarding. Strategy 2. Attention through contribution. This might sound counterintuitive, but one of the most powerful ways to improve your sustained attention is to get outside yourself. When you're focused solely on your own tasks, your own goals, your own productivity, your attention becomes fragile. It's easy to get distracted because there's no external accountability, no real stakes beyond your own satisfaction. But when you engage in activities that require you to show up for others, something shifts. Volunteer at a food bank and you can't check your phone every 5 minutes because people are depending on you. Tutor someone and you have to maintain focus because another human is right there, needing your full presence. The social dimension creates natural attention scaffolding. You're not just fighting your internal resistance. You're being pulled into focus by genuine human need. And here's the beautiful part. This doesn't just improve your attention in those moments. It trains your brain to sustain focus generally. You're practicing presence in high-stakes situations, and that practice transfers to everything else you do. Strategy 3. Competitive focus. We're wired for competition. It's primal, and you can harness that to rebuild your attention span. Find someone, a friend, a family member, a colleague, and create attention competitions. Who can read for an hour without checking their phone? Who can work on a single task for 90 minutes without switching? Who can memorize a poem or learn 50 words in a foreign language faster? The competition creates urgency. It makes focus feel less like drudgery and more like a game. And games, by their nature, command our attention. You can even compete against yourself. Track your focus sessions. Try to beat your personal record. Can you read for 45 minutes today when yesterday you managed 30? The dopamine hit comes not from distraction, but from improvement. You're redirecting your brain's reward system toward the behavior you actually want, sustained attention. And the beautiful thing about this strategy is it works with your psychology instead of against it. You're not trying to become some Zen monk with perfect equanimity. You're using your natural competitiveness to build the skill you need. Strategy 4. Technological scaffolding. I know what you're thinking. Isn't technology the problem? Yes and no. The problem isn't technology itself. It's how we're using it. Most of us use technology as an escape hatch, a way to avoid anything difficult or uncomfortable. But technology can also be a tool for building attention. Audiobooks while you exercise, language learning apps that turn focus into a game, meditation apps that guide you into sustained awareness. The key is intentionality. You're not passively consuming. You're actively engaging with technology that demands and develops your attention. I use a technique with audiobooks that's transformed my ability to sustain focus. I listen to complex books, philosophy, science, history, while doing physical activity. Walking, exercising, even doing dishes. The physical movement keeps my body engaged while the intellectual content demands mental focus. It's attention training disguised as convenience. Find the technological tools that work for you, but make sure they're pulling you toward focus, not pushing you toward distraction. Strategy 5. The movement-attention connection. This is where the science gets really interesting. When you engage in vigorous physical exercise, you fundamentally change your brain chemistry in ways that support sustained attention. Exercise increases blood flow to your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and executive function. It releases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is essentially fertilizer for your neurons. It regulates your dopamine and serotonin systems, making you less susceptible to distraction. The research is unambiguous. People who exercise regularly have measurably better sustained attention than those who don't. But here's how to make this practical. If you're a student, exercise before you study, not after. If you're working on something demanding, start your day with movement. Even 20 minutes of elevated heart rate creates a window of enhanced focus that lasts for hours. You're not just building physical fitness. You're chemically optimizing your brain for attention. This isn't optional. If you're serious about reclaiming your ability to focus, movement isn't a nice addition. It's foundational. Strategy 6. The expansion technique. This is the most subtle but perhaps the most powerful strategy. Your attention naturally follows your interest. So the question becomes, how do you expand your capacity for interest? Here's the technique. Start with something you genuinely love, something that already captures your attention effortlessly. Maybe it's a particular type of music, or cooking, or a specific sport. From there, you don't jump to something completely different. You expand outward in concentric circles. If you love a particular band, you explore their influences, then the influences of those influences. You read about the history of that genre. You learn about the technical aspects of how the music is made. Each expansion requires sustained attention. But because you're always connected to something you care about, the attention feels natural rather than forced. You're training your brain to sustain focus on increasingly complex material without it feeling like work. Over time, your capacity for sustained attention on anything improves because you've practiced the neural pathways of deep engagement. Here's what all of these strategies have in common. They work with your brain's natural tendencies instead of against them. They don't require you to become a different person with superhuman willpower. They require you to understand how attention actually works and to structure your environment and your behaviors accordingly. Because the truth is, your attention isn't broken. It's been hijacked, and you have the power to take it back. The world needs people who can think deeply, who can sustain focus long enough to engage with complex problems, who can be present for real human connection. That person can be you, but it requires a choice. Not just once, but every day, every hour, sometimes every minute. The choice to resist the pull of distraction, to sit with discomfort, to do the hard work of sustained attention. Your future self, the one who can read entire books, who can have conversations without reaching for their phone, who can build something meaningful because they maintained focus long enough to complete it, that person is waiting for you. The question is, are you ready to do what it takes to become them?